everyone, it's Desiree, and I am here with day 10 of my Christmas series for 2020. Still sticking with cards, still sticking with our stamps, but now for this, I'm going to show you how you can make place cards with some of the stamps. So I'm going to use two. One is by Sizzix, and it's called Christmas Envelope, actually. But I'm just using that piece where it says Merry Christmas. That's actually a frame. And then I'm also using the Hero Arts Santa's Door accessories. So I thought what I loved was, and there are dies that match. But what I loved was that little tiny frame that's hanging. With the wood going around it. So I thought these two looked great. Again, it's another way to dig into your stash, to look at your stamps a little differently so you can stretch them out. And that's what we're doing here. So I've got some very odd bases for the place cards. Now again, for the Sizzix, my card base, excuse me, was cut 4 by 5.5. And the ones that are going to be using the Hero Arts, they were cut 2.5 by 8. So 2.5 inches wide by 8 inches long, and it was scored at 4. All right, so it's like a mini top folding card. And then again, the card base was cut 4 inches wide by 5.5 inches tall, so that it was scored at 2 3/4. All right, now I'll put those sizes in the blog post so that you can have those. Okay, so you can see I'm just stamping. I am using my Gina K Amalgam, and I know it's discontinued. She does have an Amalgam Obsidian out, but I am a true fan of the Amalgam, and I know it's discontinued. I'm very upset. It's all right. There'll be something that I'll love again. So I stamped. Focusing on the Sizzix side, I stamped the frame 3 or 4 times because I wasn't quite sure how many I was going to make. I'm making everything in bulk as I'm doing this. And then I took the small images and I stamped those a couple times because, again, I wasn't sure which ones I was going to use and which ones I wasn't. And I'm doing the same thing when it comes to all of these images here from the Hero Arts set. Now, those are the images that I'm using, so I stamped those 3 times to make sure that I had a good impression. And I will be using my Prismacolor alcohol markers to do the coloring on these. So I've been playing with all of my different mediums too. Now again, I am keeping all the coloring in on these videos. I'm doing very little editing. Really, the only thing I'm doing is really speeding this up so that you can see the coloring. Of course, I did forget to zoom in on this, so sorry. But you can see that, you know, I'm just going in with my medium shade, coming in with the darker shade, and then going out to my lightest shade just to get that dimension going for that bow. When I go outside the lines, I do use my white gel pen just to cover up those marks. No one's going to see it. I try to forget about them, and then I'm good. So yeah, I do apologize that I did not zoom this in, but again, we can get the premise of this. And through the magic of editing, I figured out how to zoom in. So hopefully this works after I render it. If not, I'm just going to apologize now. I'm learning everything as we go. So you can see I'm looking at, I did all of the reds. Now for this poinsettia, thank goodness I did stamp an extra one because I forgot to add green for the leaves. I mean, not that you couldn't keep everything red, but it does help if you have some green leaves, and this is where I remember that, so that's where I'm pulling in the other one, so that I colored that one as well. So again, just very simple. I can't say simple enough of coloring with my Prismacolors, adding very little details to that, but some, absolutely some. So now I'm just going to come in and continue now with the holly. And then when it comes to, I mean, I'm not even getting up to the lines, so I'm making it look like a very different type of coloring. You know, I'm not worried about if there's any white that's showing, that's okay, because there's a lot of times where we see pictures where the white is showing when it comes to this. Now, what I also know is that when it comes to, or I feel, when it comes to alcohol markers, they travel in the paper, so even if you see some white spaces, trust me, they're not going to be there. They actually go away. Again, just, I am so not an expert on alcohol marker coloring, but I enjoy it and I want to keep practicing with it, so that I can get comfortable with them, because that's what I am looking to do, is to get comfortable with them. I think the frames, the wooden frames on both of these pieces were the easiest things to color. I really enjoyed them. I just, I like those images. They were easy to color. So you can see that I'm using 3 different shades when it comes to that. Now, I'm not going to worry about the other pieces. Now, I know I stamped too many, but again, I wasn't quite sure what I was going to use and what I wasn't going to use. As I was coloring, I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to need this, I'm going to need this, and I'm going to need this. Excuse me. So I do save those pieces, those that I stamp. I just put them in a big box, and I'll pull them out to use on other things eventually. I try, I mean, I'll be honest, I will try to not let things go to waste, but there are times where it does. I mean, I'm not going to kid you, but very rarely. I'm going to come in again with the same brown tones that I used for the other stamped image, for this one with Sizzix. Now, this one that's out of Sizzix is just, it's a little bit different. It's more sketchy looking, a sketched image, where the other one does too, but not so much. I mean, this looks like, you know, you took pen and you drew this yourself when it comes to that image. And of course, it is just a little bit bigger, but I'm using the same color scheme that I did. I'm using the same technique. I am comfortable when it comes to the alcohol markers for a flicking motion. I do like to do the flicks. Sometimes it calls for a flicking motion. Sometimes it doesn't cause or call for a flicking motion. Again, it's all about preference, and that's the beauty of this craft. You get to do what you want to do. Yes, I'm using the white gel pen a lot. Can you tell? Okay. I'm having a ball with this series. I hope everyone's enjoying it. I love coming up with the ideas, and there's so many ideas. I mean, so many. That it's definitely, it's going to be a 25-day series, but you're definitely seeing more videos. Because I got all these ideas. I'm making these Other images within this piece, I'm making them berries as well. So I am coming in with the reds. And of course, the centerpiece will be colored as a red poinsettia also to make that stand out. The greens will be used for the images that are doodled in the corners. And I did actually use two tones. I just came in with the darker very lightly at the base, as if just the like one flicking motion to see if I could get any area of dimension on those pieces. Which, I was surprised I was. I was able to. But again, the tip of the brush of the alcohol marker was barely touching the paper. Absolutely barely touching that paper. I'm going to fill in the dots around these images with the darker of the greens, again, just to give it some difference, because that poinsettia is going to be red as well. I'm using 2 shades of the brown to color in my pine cone. And now I'm just going to come in and real quick color up this poinsettia. Was not worried about adding leaves to the back, although you could. But I figured with the sprigs coming out from behind it, that would be the greenery that would take care of that flower. And again, just coming in with the darker color just to give that some depth and dimension. So for these, I'm just coming in with one. This is like, again, very few Copics that I have. I have the flesh, I have this shadow tone. Matter of fact, I have a couple markers. I don't know how I got a couple markers, but I do. And some browns. That's it. Oh no, I'm sorry. I have the cool, 3 of the cool grays and 3 of the warm grays, and that's it. Because I was thinking about it and then I stopped. So I'm using finding the dyes, and I'm going to do all of my die cutting. So I completed all of that, and now I'm just taking my scissors around the Sizzix, because there is no die for that, and I'm just cutting along the edges of that. So you can see the tall, skinny card bases I'm using for the Hero Arts, the smaller frame. Now, basically, you can just write your guest's name inside the frame, however you would want to write it. If you want to use an embossing pen, you can, because then you can heat set it and use a gold or a silver or a black embossing powder, whatever color you would want. Or you could just use a black marker. I mean, you could use your alcohol markers if you have the brush markers. Why not? And just write the person's name. If you are uncomfortable with doing a font in your handwriting, use pencil first and then just trace the pencil line. Not a problem. Absolutely not a problem. You can certainly do that. So you can see I'm setting each of these up. Now you've got the wreath with the long bow. But you also have the other one with just the poinsettia and one of the hollies. I'm putting one of the open December 25th stamps down on the bottom. I'm taking the other one that's a stamp that I use just the one shade to color. I'm putting the holly sprig coming off of that, and I'm wrapping the candy cane to hang down over that. So those are our 3 tall ones. And now I'm just setting... I'm going to grab some red cardstock just to back these. And then I will set those onto the portrait. We'll call them the portrait place cards. So you can see once I put that on the red, now you could have also put it with some gold mirror cardstock. You could have put it with some maybe copper if you wanted to, or red. Whatever you would want. Would look absolutely fine with these. But again, you know, they sit perfectly in there. You've got a great border that's going around them. Again, just write your recipient's name down in there. Or what you could do is, if you want it to be a gift for your guest, put a Post-it on it and say, here, you can take this and use it for a card or a tag if you want. I mean, that's totally up to you. Dug into my stash and pulled out some stickles. The gold one that I'm using right now is called Tidings. And then the red that I will be using is called Christmas Red. And I'm using that to put on the holly berries. And I'm just spreading that around, not looking for it to look like berries, but just to spread that around. I'm putting that into the crevice too of the bow. And again, I'm using the nozzle just to spread that around, and doing that same thing to the poinsettia and the hollies on this one. Pulling the tidings back in for the top of the frame that's hanging to make it look like a nail of some sort. So that is our idea to stretch out our holiday stamps and dies. Use them as place card holders. You know, put your recipient's names, or these would make great tags too. You know, add a to and from in there and enjoy. I do hope you enjoyed day 10. Give you a different idea on what you can do with your supplies. Again, to stretch them out. Look beyond what you see in front of you. And just use them in different ways. That's the beauty of all of this. They all mix and match and work very well together. As always, the products that I use will be listed down below. If you have any questions, make sure you leave those down below as well, and I'll make sure I get back to you as soon as I can. I hope everyone is having a great day as we continue to get ready for the holidays. They are fast approaching. As I'm doing this voiceover, it's December 4th. So, everything is moving just very quickly. Continue to smile, continue to laugh, but by all means, continue to stay safe and healthy. I will continue to say that as long as we continue through this journey. But remember what's most important for me, and will help you to get through this. Always be creative. Till next time, guys, take care.